What is up, everybody? Happy Sunday and welcome to another edition of the Huddle Hub Podcast. My name is Metal Mike and I'm joined here, as always, with the pig master himself, Mr. Candyman Johnny H. John, how are you doing on this wonderful football Sunday?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. You know, I got a pretty decent night's sleep. I went to bed a little early last night, and I tried to sleep in, but it just didn't work. I was up at 6:30. It didn't work. You know, I was in bed by like 2, woke up at 6:30. I wish I could have stayed up or slept just a little longer, but it didn't work. You know that time, those times you just want to sleep.
About 6 hours, so
It
about
doesn't.
about 6 hours.
No, I got 4. Went to bed at 2,
Got
woke
up
up
at
at
10
6.
a.m.
Lucky
What's up,
you.
Nate, doing WWE 2K stuff for YouTube.
Lucky you. Well, John, we are here on the second episode of the Huddle Hub Podcast. We are on the Huddle Hub Podcast Twitch, and we are streaming live on the Off the Top Media YouTube channel. Just to let y'all know, we have some social medias for y'all to go check out: TikTok and X at the Huddle Hub Pod, and on YouTube at the Huddle Hub Podcast. And also, if you are watching us on the Off the Top Media YouTube channel, well, you can head over to the Huddle Hub Podcast Twitch channel at the Huddle Hub Podcast and make sure you're following. Also, to let everybody know to join us on April 24th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our special watch-along of NFL Draft Night 1, Round 1 right here on the Huddle Hub Podcast Twitch. John, we got a little bit, I don't know if it's a jam-packed show tonight, but in a sense, it is a jam-packed show. We are going to start our 1.0 predictions of how teams are going to do in 2025, okay? We have 4 versions of this. We do post or during free agency. We have post-draft. We have preseason, and then we do after the preseason. Basically, a week before the season starts, we make our full-on predictions of how teams are going to do in 2025. 4 points of this. Today, we start the predictions of 1.0. We are doing the NFC and the AFC West.
Yep, today is the way too early predictions segment of our 4 picks.
The way too early predictions.
Too early.
We still got to do it. And then when we get to the end, because we're going to do the NFC, AFC West this week, next week will be the South, following week will be the North, and the final week will be the East. And then we are going to determine what teams are going to make the playoffs.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Right, playoffs.
Those are the game.
That is how we are going to determine who makes the playoffs and ultimately who goes on to win Super Bowl 60. Okay, so starting off with our 1.0 predictions. But John, before we get into doing that, we have to get into the news of the day. Well, of the week, because, you know, there was news that happened throughout the week. First order of business, the Lions. They've requested, John, for the playoff seedings to get changed. Okay, they're the only team to do this, meaning they want it done by record. Now, we've talked about this in the past about team seedings in the playoffs getting done by record. You know, we've seen the Vikings and the Lions both finish at 14-3, and the Vikings ended up as the 5th seed, while the Lions ended up as the 1st seed. And a lot of people were like, yeah, the Vikings should be a better seed at 14-3, but they're playing away on the road against a 10-7 Rams team, who ultimately, because of the wildfires in Los Angeles, had to play in Arizona at the Cardinals Stadium for their first and only
game for both teams.
It was an away game for both teams. Exactly. Yep. Well, the Lions are fighting for the seeding to be changed. Now, after seeing the playoffs, John, this year, and seeing that home field advantage, for the most part, mattered. For one team, the Lions, didn't. Do you think that the seedings should be changed? Or do you think they should keep it the way it is? Win your division, you get a home playoff game. That's what you earned.
Keep it the way it is. So what's the point of winning your division? You change it, and it's just, oh, you win your division, you get an automatic playoff berth.
Yeah.
Okay. But why should a team that didn't win their division get home field advantage in the first round over a team that did win their division? Keep it the way it is. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, you brought up that point about the Vikings. They lost to a better team. They were already on a slide. Sam Darnold was cooling off.
Yeah.
He wasn't as bad as he was with the Jets, but he wasn't as good as he was in prior weeks. That's more on the Vikings for losing than, oh, well, they weren't the home team. Well, guess what? The Rams weren't either. I mean, technically they were, but it was in Arizona.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the home field, but keep it the way it is. That, to me, that's preposterous.
I mean, hats off to the Cardinals organization for making that game feel like a home game for the Rams as much as they can. They changed as much as they can in that stadium to make it feel like a Rams home game. They did. Hats off to the Cardinals organization for doing that for them.
They were good hosts.
And Sam Darnold, to reach his own, I mean, what he did for the Vikings, he earned himself a bag getting signed by Seattle. You know, got a nice little contract from Seattle this year, and now he's going to be the quarterback in Seattle for 2025 in 2025. So he earned himself, you know, it took him, 5 years and 4 teams, but now look where he's at. Earned himself a contract.
Not counting the 49ers where he was a backup. This was the first time he actually was on a good team.
He was a good backup in San Francisco.
Aren't good.
He was a good backup in San Francisco, though. He was.
Oh, yeah, for when he played, the rare chances he got to play. I mean, give him weapons and we'll see what can happen.
Yeah. But the Lions looking to request the playoff seeding to be based on record. I agree with you. You go out and win your division, you get that automatic home game in the playoffs. At least one. I don't think they need to change it. They need to keep it the way it is. I understand that if a team goes out and they go 14-3, just like the Vikings did, they didn't win their division. The Lions did. The Lions earned that home game. And then they went further and earned home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Did it take them far? No. The Commanders went in and took care of their business. But keep it the way it's always been. You win your division, you get a home playoff game. I don't care if the 49ers go 8-9 this year and win the NFC West.
It was Seattle one year, and when the West was really bad.
They went 6-10, won the NFC West, and had a home playoff game. They won their division. Keep it the way it is. They earned that by winning their division. I get it.
At it. What are the odds that two teams are going to go 14-3? What are the
Very
odds
rare.
you're going to go 14-3 and not win your division? That was
Very
just
rare.
a rarity.
It is. It is. And I get the Lions are probably like, you know what? We're going to challenge this because we had home field advantage through the playoffs and couldn't take care of our business. Well, that's your fault. Number one, you were dealing with injuries towards the back end of your season. Okay? That's a downfall right there. You don't have your starters in. Number two, Washington came in and they handled you. It happens. That doesn't mean go to the NFLPA and say, hey, we want this done because of this. You're going to bitch. You had home field advantage. You lost it. Now, and this is basically going into the NFLPA, going to your fans, going to ownership and saying, you know what? I don't feel like we're going to do as good as we did in 2024. So we got to at least make it to where if we have an 11-6 record and say the Rams end 10-7 again, we have a better playoff positioning than they do. No.
The thing is, there's no reason to believe they won't win their division. The Bears are rebuilding. We don't know what they look like.
Exactly.
The Vikings are taking a step back, going with J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
As we don't know what he's going to do.
No.
Their only competition is going to be the Packers.
The Packers, exactly.
We really don't have a reason to believe that the Lions won't win their division again.
Exactly. They're the favorite to win the NFC North right now. They are. But the Packers, they've made some moves in the offseason during free agency. They brought in some, veteran wide receivers that can help out these young guys like Romeo Doubs. So, I mean, the Packers, again, we always talk about things can look good on paper, but it's all about what you put on the field. It's going to matter what they put on the field. And right now, the Packers, they look good on paper. They look like they're going to give the Lions a run for their money, but it's all about what they're going to do on Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Saturday, Friday, whenever they play. And I say all those days because we have games on Mondays, we have games on Wednesdays, we have games on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So, hey, the NFL is basically taking over the week with having games every day, almost. And that's more towards the back end after Thanksgiving. So, but, the Lions are the only team that are looking for this request to be done. So if I'm a Lions fan, I'm sitting here saying, you had home field advantage through the playoffs. The Commanders came in and took care of us. are you not expecting us to do as well as we did this past season? Because, if we go out and go 11-6, the Rams go out and go 10-7, but the Rams win their division. The Packers come in and win the North. You're expecting to be the 4 seed over the Rams who won their division just because you won one more game and you couldn't go out and take care of business and win the division? No, it doesn't work like that. Go out, win your division, earn that home playoff game. And if you need to take it further and earn home field advantage, then do so. Don't go crying because you had home field advantage and you couldn't do what needed to get done. I'm sorry. So I'm with you, John. Keep it the way it is. Keep it the way it is. Win your division. No, nothing at all. The Packers have requested, the only team to request for the tush push to be banned. Now, as we know, the Eagles, the most perfected team when it comes to the tush push. And those of you who don't know what the tush push is, either go up and look at what the tush push is, or I can easily explain it. 2 guys line up behind the quarterback, and they help push the quarterback to either a first down or a touchdown. The Eagles, the team that perfected this play, 99.99% they complete this play. There's a 0.01 chance that it does not get completed. Well, the Packers, they want it banned. Other teams have attempted this play. They complete it at least 40% of the time. 40% is not a good percentage when it comes to one play, which is considered a quarterback sneak, but an elevated quarterback sneak. Now, John, I'm not for the ban. And it's not because I'm an Eagles fan. It's because I feel like this play, teams may have a problem with defending it. Well, then give the defense an opportunity too. And what I propose is you have 2 linebackers line up behind a defensive tackle, 1 defensive tackle. It can't be both. That way it's a 1-on-1 defensive tackle against the quarterback. And 2 linebackers can push 1 defensive tackle while those 2 guys, tight ends or running backs, push the quarterback. Propose a different way of how this play can be done. What do you think on that?
Well, I think it's the cheapest play in football because
it's a very cheap play. I agree with that.
And the way I see it is you can't properly defend it. You can't. It's not fair to the defense. The defense can't push forward. They can't push back. So it's going to be a success 99% of the time. But the thing is, either ban it and be done with it. And boy, that's going to be a shit show. I can't wait to hear those comments from Eagle fans. Or make it so I say push both defensive tackles. Why not? That's why I say let the defense push back. Let's see. Let's properly defend this play. It's not properly defended. The Bills and Eagles are the only team having success with it. I think the Bills were like 3 out of 3 or 4 out of 4 when they attempted it this year.
Bills, I think, are 76.8% completion on it.
Yeah,
I think they're in the 70s.
Thing on it, but until it gets until the defense is allowed to properly defend it, I don't think it should be allowed to be run. That's just my opinion.
I agree with you that it is a cheap play, but here's the thing, John, is it's a play. It's a play that's designed up that has never been illegalized, banned, or challenged against up until now. Let's go back to the early 2000s, John. The Dolphins perfected a play called the Wildcat, okay? Where a running back would line up as the quarterback. A quarterback would go out as a wide receiver, and the running back has the choice to either throw the ball or run the ball. The Dolphins perfected this play. But it was actually perfected in college first because there was a college team. I forget what college team it was that perfected the play. And then the Dolphins adopted it. The Dolphins perfected it in the NFL. And a lot of teams found it as a disadvantage. Why? Because the running back can throw a screen out to the quarterback. As long as the quarterback is behind the line of scrimmage, the quarterback can go and toss the ball out to a wide open wide receiver. And there's no advantage for the defense. This is a play almost like that.
No, it's completely different.
It's a differently designed play jump, but it is almost the same concept of
Wildcat was ineffective after its first year. Teams caught on real quick how to defend it.
And this play
is the push is it's not defendable. You can't properly defend it. That's the difference.
It is. It's defendable.
Because the defense can't push back. you can't properly defend it.
Well, I can agree with your sentiment of letting. I can agree with letting both defensive tackles come in. I can agree with that. Let the defense have an opportunity to defend this play, but it's got to stay. There's really, I understand there's a disadvantage, but change the way a disadvantage can turn into an advantage. That's it. Because this is a modified quarterback sneak. That's what this is. It's a modified quarterback sneak. At the end of the day, that's what it is. There's just leverage that's being done. Now, give the defense some leverage. I can agree with that. But at the end of the day, it's a modified quarterback sneak. So I can agree with your argument. And I could agree with your sentiment. I can. But Aaron Rodgers, he spent Friday out in Pittsburgh in the Steelers organization building. No agreement to a contract yet. No agreement on whether he's going to sign with the Steelers or not. Now, we know Russell Wilson, he spent some time out in Cleveland and New York with the Browns and the Giants, has not signed a deal yet. Now, the Steelers have gone on to say that they have moved forward from Russell Wilson. So Russell Wilson is basically a no-go of coming back to Pittsburgh. So it's either going to be Cleveland or New York for Russell Wilson. It's all about what is Aaron Rodgers going to do. Now, the Vikings, they were in the mix as well. They said that they're going to move on with J.J. McCarthy. They are looking into the future. They are out on the Aaron Rodgers ordeal. So now, basically, we're expecting Aaron Rodgers to sign with Pittsburgh, and there's been talk about a possible signing within the next couple hours today. Now, we know deals don't really get done on a Sunday. So could you see Aaron Rodgers making a deal today, or do you think it could be as soon as tomorrow?
It'll probably be tomorrow. For somebody who wanted to separate himself from Brett Favre, he is doing exactly what Brett Favre does, taking his good old time in free agency. I'm tired of hearing about Aaron Rodgers. We all know he's going to Pittsburgh. Russ is probably going to be a Brown. And just sign. We know you're going to end up there. I mean, why would you choose Cleveland or New York over Pittsburgh, to be honest with you? No sane quarterback would do that. But just sign already. We know that's where you're going to end up.
Well, the Steelers have $43 million in cap space open availability right now, and Aaron Rodgers is worth $37 million for 1 year. So that's his worth. So do the Steelers, I mean, can you really agree? If you were a Steelers fan, would you agree to the fact that the Steelers spending 3/4 of their money on a quarterback who's going to come in and be a bridge player?
Well, I would have either brought back Russell or kept Justin. I would have kept one of those two.
Fields is a Jet now.
Matter. It doesn't matter. The Steelers are a mediocre team. They get to the playoffs, they're one and done. They haven't won a playoff game since oh my goodness, I forget how long ago I said, but it was a really long time. They're the Cowboys of the AFC. It doesn't matter. Rodgers isn't going to get you there. And the Vikings were brilliant. The Vikings were brilliant for pulling out of that because they're still looking for a veteran quarterback. They've been talking to Ryan Tannehill about signing on. So we'll see if anything manifests with that. Because Tannehill said he's going to be very picky if he joins his next NFL team, which is why he didn't sign with anybody last year. He's very picky about where he wants to uproot his family to.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that, but it doesn't matter at this point. You can sign Aaron Rodgers. I don't think it'll help the Steelers that much. Not with the Ravens there. Not with the Bengals bringing back both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to 4-year deal. That offense is set now. I think Pittsburgh is going to be the third team in that division. I really do.
The last time the Steelers won a playoff game was back on January 15th, 2017 against the Chiefs, 18-16.
8 years ago. 8 years ago.
Yeah.
You've been one and done in the playoffs for 8 years. Great job, guys. Great job.
That's not good. That's not good. I mean, when you look at the availability of quarterbacks right now, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, obviously, but you got Trey Lance, Drew Lock, Joe Flacco, Carson Wentz, Case Keenum, Easton Stick, Josh Johnson, Teddy Bridgewater, CJ Beathard, Russell Wilson, Tim Boyle, Tyler Huntley, Brett Ripien, Jeff Driscoll, Desmond Ritter, and Sam Ellinger. Oh my God, I was saying Jam. Sam Ellinger. I mean, the only two on that list would be Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. I mean, you could probably make a case for a Joe Flacco. Maybe.
No, I think he's done.
I mean, he came into Indy last year and he helped out a little bit out in Indy and got them. I believe he got them a couple wins actually last year. So, and then when he was in Cleveland, took Cleveland to the playoffs 2 years ago. So that's why I say I would probably make an argument for a Joe Flacco, but I don't know. But speaking of quarterbacks, John, I have a video to show you, and
Okay.
well, it's a manifesting video nonetheless. So let's check it out.
One more question, Saquon. One more question. In this free agency, man, I'm a free agent. I don't got no job. Who should sign me in free agency?
I think New York need quarterback right now.
New York? Who? Okay, brother. Thank you.
In this video, Saquon Barkley says, I think New York needs a quarterback. And Jameis Winston goes, who? And he says, the Giants. Well, this week, Jameis Winston signs a 2-year deal worth $8 million to the Giants. So Saquon Barkley manifesting the Giants to sign Jameis Winston for 2 seasons under an $8 million contract. And right now, as it looks, Jameis Winston at the moment is considered the starting quarterback out in New York for the blue team. So, John, your thoughts, Jameis Winston signing with the Giants, the manifesting from Saquon Barkley. I mean, your thoughts on this?
I think it's just a coincidence. The Giants GM had nothing to do with listening to that interview.
Yeah.
That was just Saquon having fun at the Giants' expense. But he's a good backup. He's not a starter. And right now, it's only him and Tommy DeVito.
Yeah.
So, I mean, until they draft a rookie quarterback, they have a good backup in place now. It's time to just get their starter now.
Well, again, I mean, the free agent class of quarterbacks that are out there, again, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and make a case for a Joe Flacco to as free agent quarterbacks. Jameis Winston, I said it that I think the Browns should have gave him a chance to come in this year in 2025 and maybe be the starter, because we know that oh my gosh, we know that their starting quarterback is going to be out for the year, basically recovering from his injury. So the Browns right now don't even have a starter, which is sad.
Yeah.
You know,
until the draft, they're going to draft one. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, could they draft one? Maybe. I mean, the Browns are in need of a lot. They are in need of a lot. And with Deshaun Watson being out with that injury, there's no telling when he's going to be back. And, you know, Kenny Pickett now being on the roster as well. You know, Kenny Pickett right now is the starter out in Cleveland. As of right now.
I don't think Winston earned the opportunity. I wouldn't have brought him back. I mean, look what he did last year. He played 12 games for him. Ended up with like a 55% quarterback rating.
He had a +1 touchdown. He had a +1 touchdown to interception
1.
ratio, though. Yeah,
That's
a +1.
Terrible.
It's better than being in the negative. Yeah.
13 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. That's basically almost evening out to every time you throw a touchdown, you throw a pick. That's terrible. I wouldn't want that as my starter. That's terrible.
Well, the Giants
wouldn't have given them a chance. I would have sent them packing too.
Well, the Giants also did go out and sign wide receiver Zach Pascal to a 1-year contract, so they're bringing in another wide receiver to try and balance out the Malik Neighbors situation. Zach Pascal, I mean, he's toured the NFL a couple of years now. You know, he was a Colt, he was an Eagle, you know, and I mean, that was a Giant. So I don't know how much Zach Pascal is really going to help in that wide receiver room, but for the moment, it's depth. It's depth for the Giants. So, you know, to Deshaun Watson on the 2-year, Zach Pascal signed to the 1-year. But speaking of the Browns, they did go out and sign linebacker Jerome Baker. I think this is a pretty decent pickup for the Browns defense. Jerome Baker, not bad, not a bad player. Doesn't force a lot of turnovers as a linebacker, but his tackle numbers aren't too bad for being a 31-year-old. So a decent pickup for the Browns and bringing in Jerome Baker as linebacker. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, not really. I think it's a good depth move, but other than that, as to who you were talking about before, Zach Pascal, I liked him as a Colt. I thought he had potential, but then he kind of just disappeared as a depth guy.
Yeah. Last bit of news, Brandon Cooks, he signed back with the Saints. Now we know he was drafted by the Saints back in 2014 in the first round of the NFL draft. John, this was his stint through the NFL. From 2014 to 2016, he was a Saint. In 2017, he was a Patriot. 2018 and 19, he was with the Rams. 2020 through 2022, he was a Texan. And then in 2023 and 2024, he was out in Dallas with the Cowboys. And now he is back in New Orleans with the Saints. Brandon Cooks, he came out of college as a big deal, and then he became a journeyman. You know, yeah, he was getting some decent contracts from teams, but do you feel like he really showed what he was worth in those contracts?
Not really. I think it's a good depth move, just because the Saints. Oh my goodness, I can't think of his name, but their number 2 wide receiver pretty much got hurt and was out most of the year. So it's a good depth move. But other than that, I mean,
they had Chris Olave and they had Rashid Shaheed.
Rashid Shaheed, yeah. I mean, he was out most of the year after performing pretty good at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
But it's a good depth move, maybe more of an insurance policy. But I don't have a problem with it, especially if he ends his career where he starts. I definitely don't have a problem with it.
I mean, we've seen this done before. As of recent, you know, Deshaun Jackson came back to Philly in the 2018 season, right after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And he just continuously kept dealing with injuries that year to the point where he just said, you know what, I'm going to hang up the cleats and call it a day. You know, Brandon Cooks, he didn't deal with injuries too much through his career, but he did deal with them at times. I mean, when you look at his numbers, his numbers do not scream first round pick to me. 710 catches through his career for 9,532 yards. He has 98 yards catches his longest, as 60 touchdowns in his career. 60 in his career. He has had 6 out of the 10 seasons he's had 1,000-yard years. So that's not too bad. 65% of his career, he's had 1,000-yard seasons. So that's not too bad. But I mean, to go in and help a team that definitely needs help. I mean, hopefully he can help spark that offense a little bit out in New Orleans. You know, I mean, and they got themselves above the cap space. They were negative. They were in the negative by a few $1 million. And now they're in the positive at $34 million. So they cleaned up a lot of their cap space. So the Saints right now, I think what they need to start thinking about is, you know, number one, is our offensive line steady enough? And number two, are we okay at the quarterback and running back position? Because Alvin Kamara, he's been an up and down running back the past 2 seasons.
I think they're definitely okay at the running back position. That's the quarterback position that they need help with. Derek Carr hasn't been the same Derek Carr since he became a Saint.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right on that. Definitely right on that. I mean, and when Davante Adams went out to Las Vegas, we thought, oh my gosh, we're going to get a good Vegas team here. And then it ends up he gets booted out. And, you know, Vegas was just downhill from there. And that's what pushed Davante Adams out the door. You know, go watch that Receivers documentary out on Netflix. You'll see what I'm talking about. Definitely see what I'm talking about. But John, that's all we have in the news. Do you have anything that you wanted to cover?
Other than what I mentioned earlier, that the Bengals did what a lot of people thought would be impossible, was signing both T. Higgins and Jamar Chase to 4-year deals. Brilliant move on their part. Joe Burrow wanted his guys back. They found a way to get it done, locked them both up for 4 years, got their quarterback happy. Brilliant move to stay contenders. To me, that was the biggest news of the next phase of free agency right there.
My biggest concern with the Bengals now is what they're going to go do on defense, because their defense is a mess right now. It's great to have an offense that can go out and put points on the board and keep up with teams when it comes to points, but you need a defense to go out and stop the other team. And right now, their defense is in shambles. So I think what they need to really start concentrating on is what they're going to do as far as putting a defense together. And when you look at their cap space, they have $20 million. Is there players out there that they can go pick up that can help their defense? Yes. And primarily their defensive line is what they need to kind of focus on a little bit. I mean, there's a couple players out there, especially edge rushers, that they can go out and pick up that can help them at least for a year, like a Von Miller or Matt Judon, Zadarius Smith. We talked big on Zadarius Smith last week. There you go. Zadarius Smith is available. Go snag him. I'm very big on Zadarius Smith. I am. I think this guy has a lot of talent. And if Detroit's not going to go out and pick him up like we talked about last week, New Orleans should definitely think about going to take him. And I think he'd be a great fit in New Orleans. I do.
I would build through the draft if I was Cincinnati. Go young. You'll get those players cheap for their first 4 or 5 years of their career. Then let them earn their big contracts.
I mean, Jalen Reeves-Maybin is also available, and Kazir White is also available. A lot of good players at the edge position that's available out there right now. So why not go out, pick up one of these edge rushers that can go out and play linebacker and defensive end? Help yourself out a little bit on defense. You got $20 million left in cap space. You got some draft picks. Go out and take care of what you need to, but you better focus on your defense at this point. Your offense is fine. Now it's defense that you got to worry about. So, but that's it for the news. That's all we got. I want to remind everybody to go follow us on all the socials, TikTok and X over at the Huddle Hub Pod, and on YouTube at the Huddle Hub Podcast. So we are going to get into our next segment. The only segment we really have planned for today, John, is our prediction 1.0 for the NFC and the AFC West. So before we get into it, as we talked about the draft, join us on Thursday, April 24th, 7:30 p.m. is our start time. That is a half hour before the draft goes live for night 1, round 1. We'll be doing a special watch along for the NFL draft, night 1, round 1. Not sure if we're going to do night number 2 yet for round 2 and 3, but as of right now, we are definitely going to be doing round 1, night 1 on April 24th. But John, the 2024 season for the NFC West and the AFC West, are two tales of different tapes. You had the Rams and the Seahawks both went 10-7. Cardinals went 8-9. 49ers went 6-11. Meanwhile, in the AFC, the Chiefs went 15-12. The Chargers went 11-6. The Broncos went 10-7. And the Raiders, they just they didn't do too well.
No, they
okay.
didn't.
The Raiders went 4-13. Okay. But those are the records that happened in the 2024 season. We're talking about the 2025 season now. We are going to do our 1.0 prediction, and today we start with the West. So, John, we are going to start with the AFC. Now, how we are going to do this is we're going to run down who they play. We don't know when they play them, but we're just going to say whether they win that game or they lose that game, and that's going to count towards the record. And then once we get to our 4th week of doing this, which will be the NFC AFC East, we will gather up everything, and then that following week, in 5 weeks from today, we will do our tally up of how the playoffs would look as far as our predictions sitting here today. Okay. So let's start off with the AFC West, John. The Chiefs. Now, how we'll do this is we'll say what games they're going to win and what games they're going to lose. So the Chiefs, they obviously are going to play their division twice. Their home games are against the Texans, the Colts, the Commanders, the Ravens, and the Lions. Their away games are the Cowboys, Jaguars, Giants, Titans, Bills, Eagles. Okay, those are their away games. Now, I'll go first on this one to kind of give you an example of how we're going to do this. And then if you have any comments on how you think that said game is going to go. So, for example, if I say, oh, they're going to win against the Colts, and I have a reason why I think they're going to win against the Colts, I'll give that reason. Other than that, I'll just say win against the Colts, win against the Commanders. You know what I mean? Catching the drift on this? All right. So here we go. I'll go first. The Chiefs, I think they're going to win against the Colts, the Commanders, the Ravens, the Cowboys, the Jaguars, the Giants, Titans. They're going to beat the Raiders once, Broncos once, and the Chargers twice. Okay? They're going to lose to the Texans, Lions, Bills, and the Eagles. So they're going to lose to the Raiders and the Broncos as well. They're going to split with the Raiders and the Broncos. The reason why I think they're going to split with the Raiders and the Broncos, I think the Broncos got a little bit better in the offseason with who they signed so far in free agency. And I feel like the Raiders, they're going to surprise a lot of people this year. I'm not saying that they're going to ultimately make the playoffs, but I think they're going to do a lot better than they did last year. I have the Chiefs going 11-6 and going 4-2, winning the AFC West. How do you have the Chiefs doing?
Well, I did it a little bit differently than you.
That's fine.
So
That's fine. If you did it different, you know what? That's fine.
Actually, pans out to actually what I have them as. But no,
Okay.
I'll do it. I think they split with the Broncos, Chargers,
Mhm.
and then they sweep the Raiders.
Okay.
So that's got them at 4 losses. And then they're going to lose to the Eagles. So that has them as 5 losses. They're going to lose to Buffalo on the road. That has them as 6 losses. And I think they win out the rest. They beat the Ravens, they beat the Lions, they beat the Texans, they beat the Colts, they beat the Commanders.
So you have them going
Cowboys.
11 and you have them going 11-6 as well.
Yes.
And what's their division record?
We just division record?
Yeah, how do you
All
have
right,
their division
well,
record?
They let's see. They split with the Broncos and Chargers, so
Okay,
that's
so it's
2-2.
2-2.
Sweep the Raiders, so 4-2.
4-2. Okay, so we both have the Chiefs going 11-6, 4-2 in their division. That's crazy. That is crazy. Okay. Next team we're gonna do is the Chargers. Again, I have them beating the Colts, Steelers, Vikings, Cowboys, Jaguars, Giants, Titans, and Raiders, and losing to the Texans, Eagles, Commanders, Dolphins, the Chiefs twice, the Broncos twice, and they're splitting with the Raiders. I have the Chargers going 8-9, 1-5 in their division.
That's a step backwards for
It
them.
is. I think they take a step back this year. So, what do you got the Chargers doing?
All right, let's see. Well, I have the Chargers. I'll start with the home games. Like I said, I have them splitting with the Chiefs and the Broncos. So that's 4. That's 2 losses there.
Mhm.
And then I have them. Let me quick look at the schedule. Okay, I have them losing to the Eagles. That's 3 losses.
Okay.
And then I have them, I believe, losing to the Commanders.
Okay.
So that's 4 losses there. And then I have them winning out the rest.
So you have them
13 and
going
4.
13-4 and their division record?
Same as the Chiefs, 4-2.
Okay. So you got them winning. You got them winning, ultimately, possibly winning the AFC West this year.
I do have them winning the West.
Okay. All right.
And
Hey,
look,
not
look
bad.
at their schedule, though. They
Yeah,
got
They got a pretty
the
good schedule.
Colts, they should be able to beat. Texans
Steel-
should be able to beat. Steelers should be able to beat. Vikings should be able to beat. You look at their away opponents. They should be able to beat the Raiders. They should be able to beat the Titans. Should be able to beat the Jaguars. Should be able to beat the Dolphins, Cowboys, and Giants. They're benefiting from a schedule this year.
They do. They have a pretty I don't want to say dominant schedule, but they have a pretty favorable schedule this year. But I still think they take a little bit of a step back this season. I still
think the
think they go
missing
8-9.
piece of that is the running back they signed, Najee, from the Steelers.
Yeah.
That's the missing piece to that offense. I think that's going to be the move that really propels them.
Okay. Well, let's go on with the Broncos. The Broncos, I have them splitting with the Chiefs. I have them beating the Chargers twice and losing to the Raiders twice. So I have the Broncos going 3-3 in their division. Now I have them beating the Cowboys, Jaguars, Giants, Titans, Colts, Commanders, and Jets. I have them losing it to the Bengals, Packers, Texans, and Eagles, ultimately putting the Broncos at 10-7, 3-3 in their division. How do you have the Broncos going?
You have the Broncos going 12-5.
Okay.
I have
And how's their
again, I
division
have
record?
them. Division's gonna be 4-2 because they split with the Chiefs and the Chargers. I have the Raiders not winning any division games. They're gonna
Okay,
be
so
0-6.
everybody's 4-2 in their division, but the Raiders are 0-6.
Yeah, they can't win a division game, and everybody else splits with each other.
What record do you have the Raiders at so far? What record do you have the Raiders at?
5-12. They take
5-12.
one tiny step forward.
Okay. Now the reason why I'm doing this is again because of doing the playoff seed and everything. I need to know the division record, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm taking the division record as well. I have the Raiders. I'll just say it. I have them at 9-8, winning, going 2-4 in their division. Yeah, I have them at 9-8 and going 2-4 in the division. Now I have the Chiefs winning the West, the Broncos second, Raiders third, Chargers fourth. But it's going to be a tight race in the AFC West this year. You have the Chargers winning the division at 13-4, Chiefs finishing and Broncos finishing in second at 12-5, Chiefs 11-6, and the Raiders at 5-12.
Yeah.
Huge step back
I think it's gonna be
the Kansas City
tight-
Chiefs.
I think it's gonna be a tight race as well between the Chargers, Broncos, and Chiefs. I just think the Chargers have a little bit easier schedule because they finished third in their division last year.
Yeah. Okay, so that was that side. That was that
Yep, so
side.
the NFC.
Now I need the NFC. No, because I had this this page. I wrote something wrong on my AFC page, and I forgot that I split the NFC on another page. Okay, so we're gonna start off the NFC West. We'll start off with the division champion Rams, who finished at 10-7 last year. So I have them. Their wins. They're going to split with the 49ers in the division. They're going to beat the Seahawks twice and split with the Cardinals in the division. I have them beating the Colts, Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Jaguars, and Titans. I have them losing to the Texans, Bucks, Lions, Ravens, and Eagles. I have the Rams going 10-7 and 4-2 in the division. How do you have the Rams going?
I have the Rams 11-6
Okay.
in the division. And
You mean you have
next
them
week I'm going to be more prepared with how they play their opponents because I thought we were just doing division records. I mean, I thought we were just doing records.
Yeah, but you got to account for the division as well. So
I know, but you didn't say that. So, see the division. Let's see. I'll have them. Let me quick run down their team. I think they'll go 4-2. They'll get swept by San Francisco, and then they'll split with the Rams and Cardinals. I'm sorry, the Seahawks and Cardinals.
Okay, no, that's fine. Okay, so you got the Rams at 11-6, 4-2 in the division. Not bad. We're off by one game, but the same as the division. 4-2 in the division.
No, that would put them at 2-4 because I said they get swept by the Niners, and then split the others. That would put them at 2-4.
And put them at 3-3 because they split with the others. They get swept by the Niners, which would put them at 0-2. Okay,
so they'd be 2-4.
So yeah, 2-4. So they'd be 2-4 in their division at 11-6. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but do you look at their non-division opponents, the Panthers, the Jaguars, the Titans,
Yeah.
the Cowboys, the Giants? I mean, it's not going to be hard for them to win non-division games.
All right, so let's run it down with the Seahawks now. I have them splitting with the 49ers, splitting with the Cardinals, and obviously with the Rams, I have the Rams beating them, Seahawks losing to the Rams twice. I have the Seahawks beating the Colts, Falcons, Jaguars, Titans, and losing to the Texans, Saints, Bucks, Vikings, Panthers, Steelers, Commanders. I have the Seahawks going 6-11 with a 2-4 division record.
Okay.
That's how I have the Seahawks. How do you have the Seahawks?
I have the Seahawks 9-8. I
Okay.
think Darnold's gonna help them somewhat. I really like the addition of Cooper Kupp
Okay.
on that offense, but ultimately, I think I have them getting swept by the Niners and then
2-2.
splitting with the it's basically
1-3.
splitting with the Rams and the Cardinals.
So 2-4.
Yeah.
2-4 in the division. Okay.
Yep.
All right, let's run it down with the Cardinals. Now I have the Cardinals obviously splitting with the Rams. I have them splitting with the Seahawks, and I have them splitting with the 49ers. I have the Cardinals going 3-3 in the division, beating the Falcons, Panthers, Jaguars, Titans, Colts, Cowboys, and then they lose to the Packers, Texans, Saints, Bucks, Bengals. I have the Cardinals going 9-8 with a 3-3 division record.
Okay.
How do you have the Cardinals?
I got the Cardinals 7-10. I think there's still a lot of question marks on that team. And as far as division record, I think they split with the Niners. No, they get swept by the Niners. The Niners are going to be 6-0 in their division.
Okay.
And then basically 2-4.
So another 2-4.
Yeah.
So in the AFC West, you have three teams going 4-2, and the Raiders going 0-6. You have the 49ers going 6-0, and everybody else going 2-4.
Yep.
Okay. What do you have the 49ers record at?
This is going to make me sound like a homer, but the 49ers have such an easy schedule this year. I don't see how they can blow this. I have the Niners going 13-4.
Okay.
I mean, look at their schedule. You get the Panthers, you get the Jaguars, you get the Titans, you get the Bears, you get the Browns, you get the Colts, you get the Saints, you get the Giants. I mean, those are all practically wins. You get the Cardinals twice. They've owned the Rams in most years.
Yeah.
Seattle's there. I mean, they have a fairly easy schedule. I mean, I don't see how this team can't win their division this year. I got them 13-4, sweeping the division. I think their only losses come from, let's see, they're going to lose to Tampa Bay on the road. They're going to lose to Houston on the road.
Okay.
And then I'm going to have the Falcons upset them at home.
Okay.
And I'm going to say the Bears upset them at home just because I think with the offensive line improvements, Caleb Williams is going to take a step forward this year.
Okay. See, I have the 49ers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Did they play the Bears this year?
Yeah, at home.
They do. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I missed the Bears then. Well, nonetheless, I have the 49ers splitting with the Rams, Seahawks, and Cardinals. I have them 3-3 in the division. I have them going 10-7 this year. Okay. I have them losing to the Packers, the Texans, the Bucks, the Bengals, and then their 3 division losses. So I have them ultimately beating. I miss.
They don't play
the Bears
Packers this year. I'm looking at their opponents right now for 2025.
They play the Bears opposed to the Packers because they play that NFC North, division record.
Yeah.
I have the Bears. I have them beating the Bears. So I have them. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have them actually going 11-6. I have the 49ers going 11-6.
I'll be able to explain my records better because I'll actually break it down by opponent. I didn't realize we were doing that, so I'll be able to break it down much better.
Well, it's the way to get the playoffs set up. You need division records as well. So So, anyways, I have the 49ers because of fixing the Packer thing. I have them going 11-6. So I have the 49ers win their division at 11-6, the Rams 10-7, Cardinals 9-8, Seahawks 6-11. You have the 49ers 13-4, Rams at 11-6, Seahawks at 9-8, Cardinals at 7-10. So, I mean, right now, when you look at the way the matchups that teams have this season, it seems like when you look at the schedules that are put out right now, 60% of the league right now, when you look at it, as of right now, a lot of teams have a lot of opportunity to make the playoffs. A lot of teams do with the way the schedules are set up. Now, yeah, I have the Chargers taking a step back. I have the Chiefs taking a step back. Meanwhile, the Broncos are going to stay where they're at. And I have the Raiders taking a little bit of a leap forward in the AFC West. Because I think the Raiders are going to get better. I think with their front office moves, they've done good. Now it's all about what they're going to put on the field. And these past couple of years have not been good for them. It hasn't. Meanwhile, over in the NFC, the 49ers, they surprised a lot of us with the moves that they made in the offseason so far. Surprised is a very, very key word. The Rams, I understand they brought in Devontae Adams, and Devontae Adams, he's a 1,000-yard-a-year guy. He's done it 10 times in his career. But Matthew Stafford and Devontae Adams, they're aging. They're getting up there. They've been in the league for a while. And at some point, the Rams have got to start thinking, we gotta start putting some youth on the field. Because when you go back, and I'm going to say this, John, you go back to that Eagles divisional round game, the Rams won that game. They win that game. That Puka Nacua catch that would have put them in position to win, they would have.
Yeah.
They would have. I'll admit that. But Matthew Stafford he's getting up there. And he's not, I'm not going to sit here and say he's getting any worse, but he's also not getting any better. Time is going to catch up on him.
I think it also has to do with this. I don't blame him for bringing Matthew Stafford back. Why? Because this year's draft class, there might be 3 quarterbacks worth taking. Next year is going to be the year to go after your quarterback.
Yeah.
Hands down. That's the year I expect to see the Rams go after their quarterback. And again, like you said, you had the Raiders taking a step forward. I have them taking a baby step forward. They still don't have a solid running back. They still don't have a solid quarterback. They have one decent receiver, one really good tight end. I don't see the offense being able to generate points, at least as of right now, before the draft.
Well, so in the NFC, I have the Rams sticking around where they're at. I have the Cardinals taking a step forward, the 49ers taking a step forward from 2024, and the Seahawks taking a huge, significant step back. In the AFC, I have the Chiefs taking a step back, the Chargers. I have the Raiders taking a step forward, and the Broncos sticking around where they're at. So I have teams that you probably don't expect right now to take that step forward. Meanwhile, teams to take a step back. The Chiefs, again, how they don't let the off-field scenarios bother them baffles me, because any other team, I think, would have that issue. They've had that issue in the past where other teams had stuff off the field happening and it affected them on the field. The Chiefs somehow are not letting it affect them. You also go back and look at their schedule, the way and who they played this past year. 15-2, they should have probably been 16-1. They should not have lost that last game of the season the way they did, but they had backups in. That's bottom line. So,
to do with culture. I mean, look at Belichick when he was with the Patriots.
Yeah.
They didn't have distractions. Andy Reid has a good culture over there. They're 100% focused on football. They don't pay attention to all the noise on the outside.
I mean, if you go back to the past 15 years, the Patriots probably had the most distraction than anybody in the past 15, like the biggest distraction with the Hernandez ordeal. The Hernandez ordeal did not bother them at all on the field. It didn't. So
they still had Gronk. They had They lost one half of their 1-2 punch, but they still had an amazing tight end to pick up the slack.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Chiefs, I mean, and you go back to the time that the Patriots were dealing with that, you didn't really have too big of like a social media type of thing going on, where today social media is just a big thing. Big
The
thing.
slightest little thing, and everybody's posting about it. Everybody's got an opinion about it. Armchair editors, armchair writers.
Yeah. Our armchair writers, podcasters, everything. I mean, hey, we come on here, we give our opinions. You know,
Yeah, you're right.
But that's it for our predictions, our 1.0 predictions for the AFC and NFC West. I mean, John, that's really the only thing the only segment we really had planned for today. And the news, that was it.
Well, next week it'll be a better show. The UFL starts this coming weekend. So we should have probably definitely be talking about that.
You know, we should have probably did 2 divisions this week. I thought we would have been a little longer today, but we're not. So maybe next week we do 2 divisions. We do the South.
No, we're gonna have the UFL to talk about too to fill out.
We'll talk about the UFL. We fill a 2-hour time slot sometimes. You know, we normally run from 11 to 1. So I think we'll still have enough time to talk about 2 divisions. The way we ran through this today, I think we'll have time to do 2 divisions. So I think next week we do the North and the South, and then we'll do the East in 2 weeks. So
sounds good.
You know, and then that will lead us basically up to getting ready for the draft. Why, John? Because we are going to be doing our mock drafts.
Yes.
So
this is going to be so much fun. We're going to do a round a week. I'm going to be drafting the AFC teams. You're going to be drafting. I'm going to be drafting NFC teams.
So how we plan this out was in week 1. I'm going to do in week 1 and week 2, round 1, round 2. I'm going to do the AFC teams. You're going to do the NFC teams. And then the following 2 weeks, I'm going to do the NFC and you're going to do the AFC leading up to the draft. So we're going to
so much fun.
We're going to compare our drafts on how we do in the first 2 rounds of the draft.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can nail it. We'll have to see. But other than that, John, that's all we got for today, man. 60 minutes. Normally, I mean, you know, a short show today, not bad. A fun one nonetheless. And next week we come back with the 2 divisions and some news that might come out. And so John, I mean, if you don't have anything else, I don't have anything else. You ready to get out of here?
Yeah, I completely agree. Everybody.
All right.
Enjoy your weekend.
We gotta shout ourselves out, John. Hold up.
I don't shout. I talk.
Well, John, your social medias, they're on the bottom. Do you want to let the people know anything?
Yes, I'm going to start picking up streaming again now that I'm used to my schedule, and I'm going to have my new schedule, and I'm going to have a lot of content dropping on YouTube, a lot of WWE 2K25 dropping as early as next week, not this week, but next week I plan. And when it hits, it's gonna drop fast and it's gonna drop furious. So hit that notification bell and subscribe. You won't regret it. I got some fun stuff planned with WWE 2K25 Universe mode.
So make sure you're going over and following John on everything he's doing over on social media and with his streaming. Instagram, X, TikTok, Snapchat, Twitch, Metal Mike 714 is where you can find me personally every Sunday morning here with John on the Huddle Hub podcast. Go over and follow our TikTok and X at the Huddle Hub Pod, and also our YouTube at the Huddle Hub podcast. And make sure you're following here on Twitch. Also, tomorrow, Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on Rivet City Radio's Twitch channel, me and Cam will be doing a special 4 p.m. live watch along for Monday Night Raw. And then after that is the table spot immediately after that. And then on Wednesday, I'm back on Rivet City Radio's Twitch and Off the Top Media's YouTube channel for another episode of The Boom with Cam and Phil right after AEW Dynamite. So please go over to the Huddle Up Podcast social medias, head over to Rivet City Radio and Off the Top Media social medias, hit that follow button and check out everything that's going on that that's going on the networks and where I'm at and everything. I'm a busy person, John. I didn't realize this. Got so much going on
for a while.
It's got so much going on, but I do plan on picking up my Fortnite streaming this week. I might do a stream tonight. If not, probably tomorrow night, seeing that Raw is live earlier. I may do a Fortnite stream tomorrow night. So make sure you're following me. I do that on TikTok at MetalMike714. But other than that, John, you ready to get out of here?
Right. I am definitely ready to get out of here. Break. The huddle
That's
is
right.
over.
That's right. The huddle is broken. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for the live. If you're not joining us for the live, thank you for joining us for the replay. As I always say, thank you. Be good to each other. Be kind to each other. Take care of each other. Be patient with each other. Remember, the world is not moving as fast as you can. And
I'm here so I won't get fined.
right, I'm here so I don't get fined. We'll see you next Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here, Huddle Up Podcast, Twitch, Off Top Media's YouTube channel. Later, everybody.